Senator Moreno.
Well, thank you, Chairman, for having this hearing. It's obviously really important. Mr. Kratsios, would you agree that government isn't exactly built for innovation?
I think he could do a much better job, but I think it's well positioned to take a stab at it.
Well, meaning that if we really want to compete with China, the real advantage we have is that we can tap into the private sector. And so what we want to do is create an environment for the private sector to succeed. Would you agree?
Yes, precisely. And I think that's one of the underpinning philosophies of the entire plan.
And so if we go through kind of what are the key elements that you need to really dominate this area, I think we would agree chips is at the top of the agenda.
Chips is certainly one piece of the stack we take very seriously.
Right. So we have to make certain that we're dominating the world in chips. That's critically important that we support American-made, American-designed chips.
Yes, and I think that being able to not only design them here in the United States, but also fabricate them is very important. The level above that is the models themselves. So we need to lead the world in large language models, which we do. And above that is the applications. And those combined create the stack, which is so important.
Right. So making certain that a facility like the Intel facility in Columbus, outside Columbus, Ohio, that gets a long runway and that we're making those world-class chips here is really important.
Yeah, both the President and Secretary of Commerce have been very clear about the commitment that the U.S. government has made to Intel to be able to fabricate high-end chips here in the United States.
Great. And then the next piece of the puzzle is energy. Mm-hmm. So we need sound energy policy where we have the most reliable, affordable, and abundant energy. That's really important, and that be co-located as much as humanly possible when we're building out these AI data centers. Would you agree?
Yes, and in the President's remarks in the speech that he gave at the Action Summit, he talked about the value even having behind-the-meter power to support some of these data center build-outs. So being able to co-locate that is very important.
And give us a sense of how much energy AI learning models consume versus just a simple Google search. Like, is it 5x, 10x, 20x?
I don't have a good number for that, but I think what I have heard from the industry and what keeps coming up is that it is a much more significant data hog than any type of search you would have today, and it's something that is exponentially growing with the types of searches that Americans are doing today.
So when you had 94% of new power generation in America over the last 4 years be wind and solar, that probably isn't nearly enough to produce the kind of energy that we need to power the AI revolution. Would you agree?
I would agree, yes.
Yeah, so we need good old-fashioned Ohio natural gas. We need to make sure we have coal. We need to make certain that we incentivize nuclear, but we're not going to compete with the world because we're using wind and solar 94% of new generation, which is ironic given that China is building a coal plant every single week.
You're very correct. We cannot compete with that strategy.
So it's thank God we've changed that policy. And the last piece is people. Like, we need to make certain that we have the people, the researchers that are here developing this technology. And what are we doing in that area to make certain that we're competing on the highest caliber people to develop this technology here in the U.S.?
Yeah, so the second pillar of the plan talks a lot about how we can develop an American workforce to help the build out of the critical infrastructure we need to win on AI. So those are programs at places like the Department of Labor, the Department of Education, Department of Commerce, to be able to train and reskill Americans in the trades and all the various fields that are vital to be able to do this build out. That's
great. And two other quick points. Having built a tech company myself, the big number one thing that you need is customers. It's a great thing when you get revenue. It's a much better feeling than not having revenue. The government, having been here 8 months, is somewhere in the early 90s when it comes to computer technology. Mm-hmm. And that's good news, bad news. The good news is that it's certainly room for improvement. The bad news is we're in the 90s. There's so much applications that we can use in AI to move government forward. And the way I think we dominate is by creating an environment where private companies can really contract with government to actually solve problems that government uses, systems that should have been retired long ago. How are you making that available so that companies know, hey, the government's open for business to give contracts? By the way, not just to big tech, but to little tech also.
Yes, the GSA is making a big effort in trying to improve the FedRAMP process, which now you may have seen a few months ago, to be able to accelerate the addition of newer entry players into the federal government procurement ecosystem. Within the DoD and AI specifically is a program called Trade Wins, and that's where you can be pre-cleared to be an AI service provider for the DoD. And once you're on Trade Wins, any service or any COCOM or everyone else can procure from there. So there's lots of innovative ways to be able to introduce these new AI technologies into a procurement cycle at a much quicker pace.
Yeah, and I know I'm out of time, but just real quickly on that, make certain that it takes into account small businesses, that this doesn't require 7,000 lawyers to fill out 800 pages of forms to get in that list.
Absolutely.